Good evening. We are here yet again for another flight. Continuing on from, well, not quite from where I left off last time, but not from where you guys saw me land last time. So I landed just past the Hoover Dam, the last sort of stream flight through the Grand Canyon. Absolutely stunning. Stunning flight. Highly recommend it for anyone who is into their general aviation crafts. Probably wouldn't take an Airbus through there, but I do believe Alekius is thinking of attempting that over on his channel. Might be streaming that later, so I highly recommend any avid flight sim fans to give it a go sometime. Jump over to his channel and check it out. But for now, I'm continuing on from the town of just north of Dyer. Up here, I landed at this little what is it, Circle L Ranch, just north of the town of Dyer, and we're going to be nipping over the mountains. We're going to be heading up to Yosemite National Park up here. And then coming up and landing, do a quick, can't quite see it, do a quick flyover of Lake Tahoe, and then come into land here at KTVL. Oh, it's a fairly short one. I'm going to bring up my little spreadsheet as well, just so everyone can see everything, keep up to date for people who like their numbers. So I've moved on to sheet number 2. So this is the first sheet, completely sort of filled out, barring one space down the bottom. I didn't want to get too close to my notes down there. So they were my first, first 21 days of flying. I did quite a number of flights early on, and we've jumped over now, continuing on from Denver, and nipped on over. And of course, I'm flying the entire thing in real time. I'm not streaming the entire thing, mostly because a lot of these flights are, I guess, fairly boring for parts of them. But certainly, the more exciting ones, I'm more than happy to stream where applicable. Anyway, we're continuing off with 41% fuel. So the DA62 runs on jet fuel, and I could not find any jet fuel prices or availability for picking up jet fuel here at Circle Ranch Airport, Circle L Ranch. So we're gonna have to nip over to Lake Tahoe to actually get our fuel top up, assuming I can find prices for that area as well. If not, I'll have to see what it typically costs to get ordered in special delivery, but we should be fine. We're going to be heading over with more than sufficient fuel. It's only really 1 hour worth of flight, although we won't be doing the most efficient flight ever. But actually, I do need to set weights and balances. I did forget to set that. We'll set transfer it all into the main tanks where possible and see what we can get. Is there an easy way to set this? 41%. 9 in each one, and these are in litres, obviously. Can we get to 70 in each one? There we go. 70 litres in each one is the equivalent of 41% of the total capacity. Looking good. Good. My co-pilot, de-icing fluid. I think we're ready to head off and begin our flight. Now again, like most streams, I'm not going to be talking the entire time. If you're into talky streams, I recommend you go and look for a talky streamer. I will talk as and when I need to, mostly because I'm streaming this for myself, so I have, I guess, a record of some of my flights as I fly around the world. Oh, look at that. Stunning. Stunning. I love these big circle crop things. Quite uncommon in my part of the world, mainly because we don't need, we're not always irrigation limited when it comes to farming. But anyway, have a quick walk around the outside before we jump into our plane. We're parked in some bushes. Probably not somewhere I would have parked a plane, but that's the joys of Microsoft Flight Sim. I did start at the Amberley Air Base in southeastern Queensland in Australia, and one of the parks was actually right inside a building, and could not even start the plane from there. So being in a bush, it's reasonable for Microsoft Flight Sim. We work with what we've got. Anyway, we'll flick everything on. The alternators. Oh, why are they not on? There we go. Must have flicked them off. Some taxi lights. Things are looking good. Everything is heating up. Why are the fuel pumps off? Did I turn them off? Somehow the left engine started without a fuel pump. There we go, all looking good. Keep them on, obviously, while we are about to take off, as per the checklist. Things are looking good. Now, I don't have actually a lot of volume normally because I like to watch YouTube or do other things while I'm flying when I'm not streaming, but let's throw out some sound. You guys can listen to the beautiful, beautiful tones. It might be a tad high. I want to talk. Let's just 60 will do it. Too loud, then people can complain, and I can ignore them. We are ready to go. Let's take our brake off, throttle up, and see if we can turn around. Yeah, okay. Announce ourselves a taxi.
November Victor 27 traffic BLXC 445
died.
is taxiing to runway 21.
Just nip down here and have a look. Roll one. Currently got no wind data, although it is saying that we're taking off from runway 21, which is to go in the opposite direction. I will take them at their word and head down this way. Now, pitot heat is going to be required. I don't like to put it on again, as I've said before, when I'm on the ground, on the off chance that something picks up, a piece of plastic, a bit of spall, I've got no idea. Something pops up and falls in the pitot tube, and then if it's hot, it may well melt on there and we'll have a serious problem. Looking at that windsock over there, it's just... Yeah, definitely do need to take... Oh, hang on. I'm going into the wind. You know, I'm going to ignore what the flight sim thinks when regards to runway 21, and we're going to actually head back this way. Taking off into the wind is pretty damn important, especially if that seems like a decent amount of wind. We're going to take off heading to the south. Safety first and all that. Anyway, get ourselves in position, take off, and then we'll be on our way. Actually, we'll be taking off to the north. I'm being a bit ridiculous. We're heading south now. Head, take off to the north, and we'll be good. Okay, parking brake on. Let's have a look here. Flaps set. Fuel pumps on. Everything's looking good. Probably while we're here, we'll set our desired altitude. Should be sufficient. I can always adjust as needed. It'll just get me off the ground. We do have to head over some mountains to our west, which is that way behind us. Oh, hang on. Yeah, sort of to the west, northwest. Actually, that is southwest. Doesn't matter. We're heading off that way to the northwest. Everything's looking good. Navigation, we will put that onto GPS, and I think we are ready to go. So throttle up, dip, brakes off.
November Victor 27 traffic BLXC 445.
Definitely a good thing we're going into the wind here because we are beginning to run out of runway a little bit. Actually, no, we had a fair bit left, more than I thought. Even so, into the wind, always a good idea. Oh, I forgot my landing lights. No biggie. Okay, flaps up. And then gear up. Bring ourselves around. We're going to get over those hills there. Not too difficult. We'll want a little bit of altitude. While we're here as well, we'll stick some pitot heat on. There on the ground, we're definitely going to need it because it's freezing cold. Unlikely to be any major icing conditions here. This is okay, there you go, all the ice just melted on the ground. Soft flight simulator, ladies and gentlemen. So we'll head on up this way, we'll take off over these get over these hills, and then we'll drop back down again because we'll be flying over Yosemite National Park quite quickly. I'm not going to sort of check out all the points of interest as we go, but there are a few I think are worthwhile checking. We don't want the navlog. I suppose we'll have a quick look at the navlog. Here we're doing Mono Lake, Half Dome, and then the El Capitan, which is, those two are sort of down on the southwestern side, or the western side of it. Mono Lake up at the north, or east-northeast of the park, and we'll be flying over most of the important parts quite quickly. Our power slide there, let's strain the engines. Now I want to bring up the map here and just see if there is anything that is really visible. Ice lines, you can see there's quite a bit there, and so pretty much straight up to Lake Mono up there. You know, I'm going to stop talking, we're going to ride out, enjoy the view, and I will greet you when we get to the lake. I'm pretty confident we're going to make it over these hills, but I may need to take control from the autopilot here, which incidentally I wasn't even using for the first part of the flight. Just went hands off controls and got to grip that one there, so could have been a disaster. But we seem to be going fairly well. I think we're going to clear this mountain. Certainly a lot higher than I thought it was. I've forgotten how high up we were the last couple of flights. We're seriously high above sea level. But pretty confident we're going to clear that without any issues before we actually get there and touch it. If need be, I can nip off that way or just circle back and get a bit more height. 15,000 feet should be more than sufficient. And as soon as we clear this hill, I'll visually confirm that I think we're going to duck down and try to get close to Mono Lake. It's only 190 k's away from our starting point, which is probably the time we're going. We're probably we're about halfway there, so about 9 minutes into the flight, roughly. We'll see how we're going. But anyway, it looks like we have cleared where we're going, so no concern there. And still with 1,000 feet to climb with more than sufficient thrust. Found 116 k's an hour. Oh, sorry, knots. 116 knots tends to be the pretty optimal climb rate for the DA62. Well, let's just nip on out and have a quick look at this. It's a fairly boring texture actually. These are beautiful down there, especially. Absolutely stunning weather. Of course, we're using real-time weather, although I have changed the daylight a little bit. It's because although flying at night time is well doable, and it would be realistic if I was flying at this exact moment, it's somewhat boring to watch repeatedly. And as I go further and further away from my time zone, unfortunately, those are going to be the realities of when I am actually able to fly. The VAR map, let's see where we're going. I guess that must be it. I guess it's all icy at the moment. That'll be at the airport. A bit over there, I guess. Anyway, we're going to drop down and see what we can find. Another thing, I'm also running into a really odd bug here. I currently got my HOTAS throttle set to 0 effectively, and can't seem to get below 39%. So we're waking up to 100%, and it's at 90, 89. I wonder if my equipment's faulty, or if it's the something to do with the mod. Perhaps the FADEC, the engine control system, engine control unit, is not permitting the thrust to go down that low. I'm not really sure. Definitely going to be a concern. But, we'll bear with it for this particular flight. Landing might be a bit difficult though.
Check gear.
Coming in on Lake Mono just ahead of us now. It's likely completely frozen over, although I can't tell if that is a little bit of mouse. That's a little bit of frozen water, or if that's a bit of tree or something like that. To be completely sure. It looks like there's a little bit of water on the edge over there, so that's likely the frozen lake in front of us there, and that black bit will be the part of the edge, the shore of the lake. We'll head on down, we'll have a quick look at it, and Be careful as well. If my mouse points off screen at any of the windows that are off screen, I lose complete control of the aircraft. I can't pitch, dive, change, click any buttons, do anything. So a few close calls with that in the past. And we'll fly down over this lake. It's supposed to be an island out in the middle. I can see the island out there. It's got a big that marker point. Once again, marker point out there as well. That's I guess the centre of the lake. It's sort of the island. And we'll head down the southwest and fly over Yosemite National Park, which is effectively all the way down there. Not quite sure what we'll see in the winter time or the early spring, but we'll pick out what we can and have a beautiful flyover nonetheless. Let's do a little bit of exterior view just so we can appreciate the landscape quite a bit more. Considering this is mostly a sightseeing tour, I've got no qualms with using exterior view where necessary. For flying, I typically prefer to go inside the cockpit, mainly because most of the instrumentation is there. Although the exterior view has a few of the important instruments, such as altitude and airspeed and whatnot that I might want. The vast majority of the useful stuff is actually inside the cockpit. So it is actually easier to fly the plane from inside, but it's not too much more difficult from the outside, and visually much more appealing. There's my shadow down there. I do love that. Looks a tad too crisp, but that's the joys of gaming. It's a beautiful plane. Just stunning. Oops. Why are we gaining so much altitude? Yeah, the modded version of this plane, which apparently, from all the thing I've been able to see, lies a lot closer to. What is wrong with my? Lies a lot closer to the actual flight statistics and the way it is in the manual and whatnot. Not perfect, but certainly a lot closer than the original Docker version of it. But it does seem to have a just truly prodigious amount of long-term climbs. I do need to use a lot of negative trim, whereas with this base version, stock version, I needed to use quite a bit more positive trim. Major, just a few observations. And so far, barring the odd things with the thrust lever and the fact that I can now completely control it from inside the cockpit, because this now here is giving me a reading other than 100%, means that the mod is pretty much the one I'm going to be sticking with all the time being. Anyway, we're flying over Mono Lake here. Just nip on down to the southwest and see what we can find. Now, looking at our instruments here, it does appear to be quite a bit of mountain ahead of us here. So I may actually need to jump back up away from this low-level flight and see what we can find. But I'm really not sure. I don't know how well elevated. I should have done more research on this national park. But I was just heading in the area. Thought we'd head back north for a brief bit. Let's gain a bit of altitude.
Engaging autopilot.
Definitely think I'm going to come back in my own time in the future and have a fly over this when it's all melted, summertime or later spring, because this is absolutely stunning. And unfortunately, MS Flight Sim 2020 has fairly average snow graphics. My settings are on Ultra here as well. The average overall snow graphics are pretty the first couple of times, but just a little bit samey. I found the melted or the natural tones to be just far better in most cases. It's a truly stunning national park. Quite a lot more mountainous than I was aware of. I didn't really know a huge amount about US geography. I was certainly not expecting Yosemite to be quite so large. It's sort of quite a number of kilometres from one end to the other, and two, to be quite so mountainous. I didn't think, heading out towards, we're in California now, I think, somewhere, maybe. And certainly didn't expect California to be quite so cold and mountainous and high. We're not that high above the ground. We're already at 11 and change thousand feet. It's that one up there. Probably something important, of course. This is not too. Oh, there we go. Mount Dana or Dana. Here you go. Supposed to be a pretty mountain of some sort. I actually don't know anything about Mount Dana. Anyway, see if we can clear this massive ridgeline up here. Stunning part of the world, though. Wish those in the distance would light up and tell me what they are. One of the quirks, even though I've got show all labels on, you really do have to get quite close to it and point in just the right location to actually get them to show up at all, which is just unfortunate. The missed opportunity. Something I hope Asobo or whatever this company that makes this thing will address in the future. In the meantime, we'll probably call it here at 12,000 feet. I'll just go to hold it on. There we go, some black bears over here. I might actually take control again off the autopilot and we'll see if we can head down and find some black bears. Not really sure what we're going to see. We saw the brown bears. Not brown bears. Our flight to Alaska, and it's pretty boring for the most part. So we'll get some wildlife down here and enjoy the national park while we're here. Without overspeeding the plane if possible.
Engaging autopilot.
Wrong button. There you go, black bears are supposedly down here somewhere. There we go, look at that. A family of bears migrating for the winter. I'm assuming bears do that.
Engaging autopilot.
There we go, the great big Johnson peeking at us from, I don't know where I'm going with that. There you go, Johnson Peak. It's probably the least impressive peak around here, but for some reason it's been singled out, that little lump there. Thought some of these other ones would be more impressive, but perhaps it's named after someone in particular. Either way, continuing to head down, not a lot to see actually, certainly, I don't know what that one's called for some reason. I get it centered in the screen sometimes to show, but it's not going to tell us what it is. It's another little peak. We saw Dog Lake back there somewhere, that one over there most likely. Okay, very pretty, very, very pretty. This is certainly a much more impressive peak, and part of the family information earlier. The joys of being a parent, I guess. Clouds Rest, now that is a very, very pretty looking area. I imagine if when the clouds roll in, you'd actually be above most of the clouds based on the formation here. This is stunning. Now we're getting to the really interesting part of the national park. A half dome, that looks like a, well, yeah, like a half dome, I guess. Big rock, great big whopping great rock, and actually that's stunning. Now that'd be amazing in outside the winter. Again, coming back here when the winter months have deserted this hemisphere would be absolutely stunning. I'm gonna have to, well, I think I'm gonna have to plunge down to El Capitan, which I'm assuming is that one just down there, probably. Or there you go, Yosemite Valley, Yosemite Village. Where's El Capitan? Maybe it's on the other side there. Maybe this is El Capitan. I really don't know what I'm looking at. I don't know very much about this national park. The average textures there, which is life. Slight overspeed, probably just killed myself if this was real life, but again, we do what we must. Actually, on second thought, El Capitan is probably going to be, whoa, don't twist the stick. Capitan is probably going to be over this way a bit more. I need to get back inside the cockpit and see what I'm doing. Apologies for those enjoying the view, but this is some dangerous flying. This is what results in your death. I'd be very lucky if the airframe hadn't broken here. There's Yosemite Valley there. Go back outside now and enjoy the view again. Yosemite Valley below us. It's a valley. Apparently Sam lives there. We'll head off this one. There we go. There's El Capitan off that way. It must be, I'm assuming, big rock of some sort, based on the name. It's actually surprisingly difficult to fly this plane when I am outside the cockpit. Oh yeah, it's a great big honking rock. Look at the size of that thing. Rather than fly over it, I think we actually fly around it. It would look probably more beautiful to see the face of it, despite the bad lights and textures in these rock walls. That would be stunning. Absolutely stunning. Coming back here again in the summertime when the ice isn't here, would just be amazing. That is a phenomenal look. Fantastic. This is exactly why I'm doing this world tour. All these sites, places I would never even give a second thought to. It's stunning to fly here and check them out. Anyway, we're going to need to head effectively north from here to Lake Tahoe. See if we can clear this hill and head up north from here. I really would like to fly down that valley a bit more. Unfortunately, I don't know if I've got the fuel to necessarily play around too much. So that autopilot is giving me 39% negative trim. I have no idea why it does that. It's just ridiculous. There you go. Now the thing is a hell of a lot easier to fly. Pull back on the stick 50% more. Alright, I'm going to take this opportunity to see if I can program in my my approach. Now the G1000 NXI mod, currently available for free on the workshop, or the in-game store, has some interesting approaches. So even, actually apparently Lake Tahoe is more developed than I thought. Or even with when you're coming south of the lake when we do it, so we don't want this one here. But even with like visual approaches, it can actually still manage a glide slope of 3 degrees for you pretty well. It obviously doesn't do collision avoidance, so it doesn't know what's there. For smaller airports, you can actually set in your own approach. I've been experimenting with that a little bit more, but looks like here we can do an RNAV. It'll be very good. We'll use that one there. Coming in, which one do we want to do? We're not doing that one. We're not doing that one either. I think we'll just vector in, try to come in from either one of these and come in south. Yeah, I think that'll do. Minimums, I actually don't know how to do this, so I just sort of make it up as I go along, but let's say we'll do a barometer reading of number of feet. Ooh, wrong button. Do a barometer reading of that many feet. Sounds good. Sure, that's relevant. I'll be taking over by the time we get that low anyway, but this is really just to line us up and bring us in, especially because I'm concerned about that engine issue where I can't actually bring the power of the engine all the way down. Double check not crashing, good. Yes, I'm not actually sure why the engine won't go below 37 or 39% throttle. If that's going to be an ongoing issue. Could be from the altitude as well. Perhaps there's some sort of setting in here that means it won't go to the lower of the stall. I'm not entirely sure. Either way, we'll activate that one now. That will completely, for some reason, stuff up our autopilot. That is a concern. Why has that happened? Like we're going to be doing... my mouse on the map over there. Looks like we're going to be doing a what's the word? VFR flight from here on out. So let's throw in some autopilot, altitude hold. We're going to go heading. We're going to set a heading for, let's just say, northwest at the moment. Let's see if I can actually find this Lake Tahoe now. Now I'm doing stuff. Did not work how I expected it to. Have I set it for the wrong airport? I suspect I've set it for the wrong airport. Interesting. Anyway, I'll figure that one out. It looks like I've discovered, I've managed to regain my my nav point, so we're back on the VAT now. Things are looking a lot better. It's going to be a straight-in flight, so I will have to obviously watch and take control of any collision avoidance, but I think we've managed to figure out what happened. Obviously, that particular approach for some reason seemed to wipe all the data, which is interesting though, because I was still getting, let's just jump down here for a second, I was still getting the estimated time on route countdown up here, so I'm not really sure exactly what caused it, but I've changed some of these around as well. So obviously now we can see ground speed. I've been, for the most part, I've been looking at our true airspeed and equating that to our ground speed, which is almost correct. Obviously ground speed takes into account things like headwinds and whatnot, and we're holding altitude. We look like we're dropping for some reason. It could just be bouncing and bobbing around. I want to be a tad careful. I think we'll make it. That'll be fine. Anyway, back to what I was saying. I've put in, obviously, ground speeds up here. Fuel over destination is a very, very useful thing. So our current rate, we're going to have 19 gallons remaining now. It's split between 2 fuel tanks. So we'll be down to, you know, roughly 9. So very, very short. We're only going to be burning another couple of gallons before we're over our destination. Obviously, I can change that with throttle. See the time changes and, well, there you go. If I throttle back, you can see fuel over destination changes. So quite a useful sort of a thing. It's only an estimate, and that can change based on in-flight characteristics as they change, but gives you a rough idea. Of course, distance to goal means I no longer need to have that very, very annoying and sort of obtrusive countdown up here. Points to where the final airport is. I was doing that mainly for the viewers' benefit, also for myself as well, to give me a rough idea of how much further remained, simply because I was still learning how to use the Garmin 1000 NXI, but I did download the real world manual for this thing and have a bit of a pour through it. So I've certainly got a much better understanding of how to use this thing here, although I'm by no means an expert. Anyone who does have experience with this one, please feel free to enlighten me on some of the finer points, because it's very, very powerful tool, but geez, it's a little bit cumbersome to use. I really wish, I don't know how I would change it, but it certainly feels like it could be managed better. But obviously, if you're a pilot, perhaps you just know what you need to do.
Tower BLXC 44525 miles, south 10,100 feet to land.
BLXC 445 Tower. UNH 30 decimal 11 wind 177 at tree. Enter right downwind runway 18.
Enter right downwind, runway 18 BLXC 445.
Just to nip back in here again. I find the most important point of this, even though I'll probably I typically fly in myself, one, it'll set me up straight, which is always good, but two, it calculates my top of descent for me, which is a massive benefit. I no longer need to worry about deciding when to come down, coming down too early, or even worse, coming down far too late. Gives you a nice little handy countdown for when it expects me to get there, so you jump to second, because it's obviously calculating it on the fly. And it will give me it'll bring me down obviously to how do you move down this page? Obviously I can't use that on a touch screen. Just counterintuitive to use. Either way, it'll bring me down to these amounts as required if I am doing vertical navigation, which is that one there. And for the most part, it's pretty helpful to have it do the top descent for me. Again, we're doing a visual one. It's potentially going to fly us right through that mountain if we're not careful. But for the most part, especially coming, we're going to onto Lake Tahoe almost and loop back. We need to land in pretty much south or exactly south. So that will pretty much make us avoid most obstacles. The other question I actually want to look at is, it said altimeter was 2,300 or something. Scroll up. Anyway, it said something like altimeter. I've set a couple of 100 feet in here, so we'll see if that runs and ends up being an issue or not. If it tries to plow us into the ground, or if it does that as above local area. Not sure. Doesn't really matter. I could be flying it in manually for the most part. It is definitely going to fly us to those mountains if it begins at top of descent here. We may not even clear them from where we currently are, but certainly we're going to go fly through those mountains.
Vertical track.
Oh, so it's definitely starting shortly. We're actually going to turn that off for the time being. I'm going to manually fly over that mountain and then see if the VNav can bring us back on track. May not be able to because we may be too far deviated, but we'll have a quick look at this flight plan. So yeah, definitely going to do kill us on those mountains, so I'll turn that off for now. The joys of the visual approach, I suppose. You need to be aware of what you're actually doing. I'm not sure why the other one didn't work. Again, if anyone knows some of the more intricate parts of the system, let me know. Could have been a bug, could have been something specific. It certainly did remove my approach and try and send me back the other way. Balls up. And there's Lake Tahoe in the distance. Up there in front of us. Great big expanse of ice at the moment. Again, no idea if this thing actually freezes or if this is a little quirk of flight sim. But again, in the summertime, it's stunning. Absolutely stunning. Let's jump out now quick. Look at this. Bit of cloud cover coming in. Look at this. The clouds look good. Nothing to be said about this, but just amazing. What a stunning vista coming in here. I don't know too much about Lake Tahoe. I think it might even be a reservoir for San Francisco. They don't hold me to that. Big enough lake. I think it may be man-made. Could be pulling that one out of the proverbial arse.
Engaging autopilot.
Well, it certainly got us on something. We should level out shortly once we get to about 6,500 feet.
VLXC 445, wind 177, entry. Clear to land runway 18.
Clear to land runway 18 BLXC 445.
Very, very fast. We're down there. Safe to put our landing gear down. We'll begin to slow us down again as well. Stuck outside again. And look, we are at now throttle of 0%. I don't know why we can now do throttle of 0%. But it seems to... a tiny bit up and it goes to nearly 50%. A tiny bit down, it's plunging. Obviously something to do with the mod. Not quite sure exactly what that is. Let's get our airspeed up before we fall out of the sky and die. Need some flaps, more throttle. Line ourselves up for landing. This has been a terrible automated approach. I think I'm just going to take over from here before autopilot kills us. But quite a high angle we're coming at here. Autopilot's done a terrible job with this one. I've got four whites though. Probably wouldn't call this 4 white, but to each their own, I suppose. Each their own. 4 reds, more like it. Not the best landing I've ever done, but reasonable given the circumstances.
VLXC 445, turn next taxiway.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is it. We've arrived at Lake Tahoe. I'm going to be finalising this. Probably no more talking from here on out. Thanks for joining me, either live or in post. And I will see you all next time I start to stream. Take care. Have a nice evening.
VLXC 445, contact ground on 118 decimal tree.
118 decimal tree, BLXC 445.